All right, I'm out in the garage working on the Nova. Today I'm working on the carburetor. So I got this is a Edelbrock 800 ABS2. I picked this up used last fall for $285. I swapped a guy for my 650 that I had, and I got this 800. So I'm just kind of going through it now and cleaning it up, making sure the fuel bowls and the jets and everything's clean. It wasn't dirty really at all. There's just a few spots that were a little dirty. So I cleaned it up with carb clean in here, sprayed all with compressed air. It's in pretty good shape, so I'm happy with it. I checked the floats. These carbs, anytime you get an Edelbrock carb, even if you buy it brand new, you always want to take it apart. There's only like, I think, what is it, got 8 screws, and you take a couple little parts out and you can split this thing in half, okay? And you want to always check your floats. So this is the float drop, how far it hangs down when it's sitting like, you know, would be sitting on the car, straight up. And then when you invert it, flip it over, this would be your float level. So this is going to determine how much fuel is sitting in your float bowls. Okay, now the carb manual there will tell you to use 7/16. I don't really recommend it. I've always used 3/8. And I think the really old manuals used to say 3/8, and then they changed them at some point in the last 20 years. So what I do, I find works best, is you get yourself a 3/8 drill bit, okay? And you adjust the float so that when you drag it under here, it just barely starts to touch. There's barely any clearance there, okay? That's what I find works the best, because that'll raise your float level up by about 1/16 of an inch or so, and you wouldn't think that'd make a huge deal, but on a carb it does. And it seems like it helps it run better. It doesn't have off-idle stumbles as much. It just seems like it runs better in my experience, so I would recommend doing 3/8 on it. And then the float drop is supposed to be about 1 inch. So you just bend the tab back here for float drop, and you bend the other tab for the float level. You can see it's just held in by a little pin there. You slide that out and it comes out. Just be careful if you do that, you don't flip this thing over, because then the needles will slide out of the seats there. They're just sitting in there loose. And you want to do all your measurements with the gasket in place. This one here has annular boosters. So you can see these guys are real big compared to over here. This is your standard down leg booster. So you got one little booster shooting fuel out, right out there into the barrel. This one here there's actually 8 holes. I don't know if you can see in there. Let's see if I can zoom in. See, there's like little holes in there. There's 8 of them. And so what it does is it shoots more spray of fuel, finer spray of fuel, and it's supposed to help it atomize better. Gives you better throttle response, that's what they say. I noticed it on my 650, felt like it had a little bit better throttle response than like a standard Edelbrock that I used to run. So we'll see how this 800 is. I haven't ran this one yet. But so that's supposed to be a new feature that they have. And then here's our idle mixture screws. I got these set turn and a half out each. So you turn them in until they're lightly seated. Don't go nuts on it, right? You just kind of tighten it till it doesn't really want to move. And then back it out 1.5 turns to start, and then you can adjust it from there once you get the car running. You want to adjust those to highest vacuum. So you hook up your vacuum gauge, to something that's below the throttle blades, and keep adjusting it until you get the highest vacuum reading. And then usually I turn it a little bit more so you get a little bit more fuel. Seems like that helps. Maybe another 1/16 of an inch or a 1/16 of a turn or something like that. And then let's see, here's the jets. So this carb has 104 jets all around. Now the standard 800 I used to have years ago, 1813, that model, that had 113s in the front and I think 104s in the back. This one's got 104s all around, but I guess I read online and in this manual that these boosters provide more fuel, so therefore, you need a smaller jet since you got more fuel floating through there. It's finer, better atomization or whatever. That's what I read. We'll see, right? But I just wanted to kind of clean this up and keep it all stocked to start with, and I'll adjust things later. I'm actually going to probably get a custom-made carb for this car at some point, probably through ATM, but they got a 6-week lead time, so I'm going to use this carb for now to fire it. A lot of people rip on these carbs, say they're junky, they don't work good, blah, blah, blah. I think they're pretty good carbs for the street. I mean, if you're drag racing the car every weekend, okay, maybe you want a Holly or something like that, but I mean, for most people that just ride around the street and take it to the track now and then, these carbs are fine. So I've had good luck with them. You just have to know what to do with them. The main thing is set your float to 3/8. That'll help you. And then your accelerator pump, that adjustment's over here, right there. I always suggest using the top hole. That gives you the biggest pump shot. And then in real extreme cases, if you still have an off-idle stumble, you can change these squirters out. If you can see on here, it says 35. See right there? It's kind of back upside down, but 35. They make a 43 that shoots more fuel in there too. You can swap that out. It's really easy. You just take these 2 screws out, put the new one in there, boom, done. Real easy. Usually the problem with off-idle stumbles is not enough initial timing. That's what I found. You want to run as much initial timing as possible on your car, and then limit the mechanical or whatever you have to get to your total. That way you're still running a safe total. Like I'm going to try 32 on this car. Other heads that are less efficient might like 36 or 38. But I found that the bigger the cam you get, the more initial timing you need. And then once you get over a certain amount, you really should just lock the timing out and just run the straight timing all the time. That's like if you get over 240 duration at like 50 thousandths or whatever. But most of the off-idle stumbles I found out with these carbs is too little initial timing. So you fix that, raise your float level up, get the biggest accelerator pump shot. And then the biggest thing is these little guys. So these are called step-up springs. So these fit under here, and these are your metering rods. And so you can picture, I don't know if I can get this to line up right. That may not work. Let's see. Okay, yeah, it did. Okay, so these little guys, they go in here. Okay, so you got your spring goes in here. Boop. Okay, and then this little guy is called your metering rod, and it's tapered, so it's smaller at the bottom and it gets bigger as it gets higher up. Okay, and that goes down in here into your main jet, and the vacuum is what pulls these down. Okay, so picture the car is idling, and here's your metering rod, and it's being sucked down by the vacuum because there's a hole down there, and it's pulling down on this thing. And the spring is what helps it move up. You know what I mean? But so the spring is going to be fighting it to pull down, so it's pulling down. So then as you nail it and you hit the throttle and the vacuum goes away, because once you floor it, vacuum goes to basically zero or close to it. So these are going to come up, and then as these come up, they're going to get to the tapered part where it's wider, and it's going to let more fuel through. So when you step on it, you get more air through here. You need also this to move up to give you more fuel through the main jet there, your primary jet. So if you have weak springs, it's gonna pop up later. It's gonna keep pulling it down. It doesn't have enough strength to pop it up. You know what I mean? So as the vacuum level goes down, it's got to get down to maybe 5 or 4 inches of vacuum before it starts to move up. If you put stronger springs that are 7 or 8 inch, which is their strongest one, I think is a silver 8-inch one. If you put that in, boom, it pops up quick as soon as you nail it. Whoop, and then you get your fuel. That's what I found is the main fix for these carbs when they have a hesitation, when you step on it. It's usually these little springs. For some reason, Edelbrock likes to put the little weak-ass ones in there that are like for 4 or 5 inch, they're blue or orange. They suck. They're just not any good. They make pink ones that are 7 inch, and then they make silver ones that are 8 inch. 8 inches of vacuum, I'm talking. And they have these calibration kits that you can buy. Like I've got a lot of these from over the years. I've used a lot of carbs. So you see they have different springs, they have different rods and jets, and they'll tell you right here, blue spring is good for 3 inches of vacuum, yellow, orange, pink, silver. I never screw with anything beyond the pink. I've only used pink and silver. Now, this car is going to produce less vacuum, so maybe I'll have to go to a lower spring because it might be popping up at idle if I only have 8 inches of vacuum at idle. But most cars are going to have at least 12 inches of vacuum or more at idle, unless they got a really wild cam. So you want those to pop up as soon as you can, so you get some fuel in there and you get going. So that's what I found on these carbs, just a little heads up. So anyway, so that's my little spiel on Edelbrock carburetors. They're not the most high performance carbs out there, obviously, but they're still good. They have their application, and they're fine if you know what you're doing. But like I said, those are the main areas: your float level, 3/8, your accelerator pump adjustment, top hole, put in stronger step-up springs, and make sure you got enough initial timing, and then usually you'll be all right. So anyway, that's my Edelbrock carb deal. So I'm going to start putting this thing back together so I can bolt it on the car. And then just a quick update on the car. So I did get the radiator in, the fan shroud, I got the alternator on, water pump pulleys, power steering pump, the ground strap. I got a couple other little things done too. So next up is going to be taking this tape off, because that'll be a restriction, right? Take that off and then put my gasket on there and the carb on there. I'll bolt that on. So at least it'll be ready to go. And then I gotta hook up the fuel pump and fuel lines, get some hoses hooked up and stuff. And the last step will be the distributor back there. Once my buddy comes by, we'll prime the engine before we fire it. So yeah, getting there. It's looking pretty good. So anyway, that's it for now. See ya.